lot of spring games going on in college football. Transfer portal opened this week. It was a slower week on that front, at least the first day. I mean, there was less than 100 names that went in on opening day.
Really?
Which I think when you look at the timing of spring football around the country, this week you saw more and more names. But then next week, after Nebraska gets done, there's 40 spring games, around 40 spring games this weekend from Thursday to Sunday. And then that will really, I think, lead to a bunch of entries next week, and leads me to quarterback at Nebraska. A lot of people ask us, what do you think of this quarterback room? There's 6 scholarship quarterbacks currently here right now, which that has to be a record. I don't know how you could have more than 6 scholarship quarterbacks. And by the way, Mikey Pauley, who would have been another quarterback who's a scholarship baseball player, he went in the transfer portal, and he was at Nebraska as the former Kansas City High School Player of the Year. So they've had a lot of quarterbacks. They just need to get one figured out now.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you think about the thing that we probably don't talk about enough, I don't know, we talk about everything probably enough, but it's sort of interesting when you look at it like this. Heinrich Harburg is he's probably the number 2 guy in camp right now. Nobody talks about Chubb anymore. I mean, Chubba Purdy has sort of become a forgotten man, and it wasn't the case last year. I mean, we couldn't talk enough about Chubba, right? Now Chubba's been kind of pushed aside by this sort of Heinrich Harburg phenomenon, who's obviously running the ball really well in practice. That's what Satterfield said today. He said his superpower is his ability to run physically.
It's like Josh Allen.
Run downhill. Yeah. Now I wonder what that passing part looks like.
He said it was good. And I mean, what does that mean though? Like compared to the other quarterbacks in the room, so that's going to be the big question with him. Like the athletic ability and size was never the question. And good news is for him, he's getting a chance to showcase it. Talk about quarterbacks being live. There's probably no guy on the roster that's benefiting from quarterbacks being live than Heinrich Harburg, because he gets to showcase everything
100%
that he brings to the table. So he is a player that has taken advantage of his opportunity and the circumstances at his position as much as probably anybody on the team.
Here's the question for Sean, the recruiting guru. Was Harburg a running quarterback in high school? Did he run it a lot?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a track athlete. I mean, if COVID wouldn't have canceled out his track stuff, and I think he enrolled early too, but as a freshman, sophomore, he had state level, high level marks in the high jump and the 100. I mean, he's a very explosive athlete. When he played a Class C1 game, we went to this game against Wood River, Greg and I, his opening game of the 2020 season, and he was the biggest person on the field. Sure. And so, if he wanted to run, he could run. If he wanted to throw, he could throw. He is a physical specimen, and he's got a good arm. It's weird. He's honestly a much better fit to me in this system, apparently, than he was in the previous system, especially for Mark Whipple. I mean, Mark Whipple wanted nothing to do with this guy. That's what's crazy to me, where Matt Rule, an accomplished head coach and a former NFL coach now, they were all over it. And it's from the start. It's a perfect example in life how different managers and leaders can look at people differently.
Oh, it's a
life lesson.
Now, does Harburg just slide to number 3 though when Casey comes back? Because it looks like Casey's coming back. Casey is right on schedule with his shoulder.
He's doing some throwing now. Limited throwing.
So he's right on schedule in his return from shoulder surgery. Satterfield today says he's doing limited throwing. And then when he comes back, it's on, right?
And I thought,
so we thought we talked off air. Is Casey going to be around? Looks like he's going to be around, right?
And the nugget of nuggets from Tuesday's practice was Ben Scott, the Arizona State transfer at center. He said that Casey Thompson is literally the first guy in the building and the last guy out of the building. And look at Sipple's Casey Thompson smile.
Hear that, Sean?
I just literally saw a little fist pump there. I mean, he's
first guy in, last guy out. He's
a Steve Sipple.
Well, he's competitive. You saw last year. He'll listen. He'll give him a tough decision, is my guess.
That Harburg maybe could be the third, which is, then leads you to believe where's Chubba, where's Logan, and what about Torres? I mean, what's the conversation like with him?
No, I mean that's a great question. what do you do? Well, here's what you do. You have very frank conversations with them at the end of spring ball, right?
Mhm.
How many do you need? I think you need to have 4 for sure. So like, do 2 of these guys now? If you're a transfer that came in a year ago, though, like, I've heard a lot of different things. How does that work? Can they not ask you back at that point? Can those guys become double transfers legally because of the coaching change? I mean, there's so many waivers
Perhaps.
and loopholes to the game of college football that change every month.
Right.
That it's hard to know all the intricacies of what happens if Chuba Purdy wants to transfer. Is it going to be that easy?
It'd be a double transfer.
Could he be a double transfer?
I don't know. Don't know.
I think for some of these younger guys, like I'm thinking of Torres in particular, when Satterfield was asked directly about him and just kind of what he was looking forward to seeing in the spring game. He says, I want to see how he performs on the big stage, because Richard Torres has never played in front of 60,000 people before in his life.
Right.
I mean, he was here, wasn't he here last spring, but was hurt and didn't play in the spring game.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah, so this will be his first time playing a quote unquote game in Memorial Stadium. And how does he handle that? I mean, is that stage, even if it is a practice, there's a lot of people watching. You're going to be on
comes
TV.
out fired.
Yeah, I know.
6 for 6.
So like,
100.
talk about a guy that like maybe for spring game purposes has a lot riding on that. I put Torres right up there.
Yeah, you hope a guy like that comes in and says, "All right, I want to give the coaches something to think about here."
Yep.
First
chance to show if he's a gamer or not.
Right.
And
I'd love to see kids like do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
we'll get our first real good spring look of Gabe Urban Jr. at running back, who, they continue to praise. I was told in the scrimmage Saturday, he had roughly 60-ish yards rushing, a lot of physical downhill runs.
Really?
I'm looking forward to seeing that and seeing what that looks like.
I wonder. Yeah, Satterfield was asked today which running backs have risen to the top. He just wouldn't go there. They're all pretty good. That's the thing. All those guys are good
and unique.
Yeah, and we know about them. I mean, this isn't hyperbole because they've all been around. Yeah, they all are all a little different, but they're all pretty good. I don't envision a bell cow here. I don't.
Well, Grant,
he was kind of last year.
I mean, but they overused him, and I think it led to him getting banged up, and then he wasn't the same back towards the back.
They wouldn't have overused him if AJ Allen stayed healthy.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a big part.
Yeah, he went down against Oklahoma. What he did to his shoulder,
Labrum.
Yeah, labrum.
Or collarbone.
Collarbone. It was a collarbone.
Sorry about that.
Incredibly painful. Collarbone injury. If he had been healthy, they wouldn't have had to lean on Grant. It would have been a whole different discussion. He's been out most of the spring. I don't know what will we see him on Saturday? That's the question.
Don't know. We'll find out Thursday.
Okay.
But I thought also notable that Satterfield talked about one of their main points of emphasis over the last couple of weeks has been pass protection with those running backs. And he says every one of them has done really well, especially in that scrimmage. He was really happy with the way the backs protected in pass pro.
There's the backs right there. And that's a good looking group. And I'll tell you who's a good pass protector is Ramir. I mean, Johnson he's a great protector.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's also going to be interesting to see if they have enough offensive line numbers to piece together 2 full units.
Right.
Ben Scott was out of green, though. That was promising. So
today,
what is
Tuesday.
I mean, I wrote this on Monday. There's 14 linemen on the roster. We know Prohaska's out. What is the number that they would need to be at to go 2 units, two teams? Like, do they have to have 11 or 12 available to play with 2 units?
Yeah, wouldn't you think?
Or 10's not going to do it. I don't think. You can't
no.
just say we're going to play Ben Scott and Teddy and those guys.
Then you're putting your guys at risk. I think
that's why I say
totally counterproductive.
Yeah, those
it'll
guys.
be offense versus defense, which is fine because they're going to go good on good. Like that's all I want to see. I don't care if they're split up with like a bunch of walk-ons mixed with starters. Like that doesn't do anything for me. I want to see good on good, iron sharpens iron, that sort of stuff, even if it is just for a few series.
Yeah, 100%. Those linemen, they all do look good. I mean, even Teddy, Teddy was up for media availability on Tuesday. Teddy's even slimmed down. I mean, they all look like
Teddy got up to 330 coming off his injury.
They look they're slim. Not too slim, I don't think. They just look slim.
Yeah, I say
Benhart was
324 now, and that's about as well put together as 324 pounds can be.
Yeah.
Teddy said he was close too. He's close to being fully cleared. At least that's what he said. What does that mean? I don't know, but he said he'll be 100% for summer workouts.